Hi friends, now we discuss chapter 17, President. So President governed the articles 52 to 78, articles 52 to 78, part 5 of the Constitution deal with the President, Union Executive. The Indian Executive consists of the President, Vice President, the Prime Minister, the Council Minister, and the Attorney General of India. The President is the head of the Indian state. He is the first citizen of India. He acts as the symbol of the unity, integrity, and solidarity of the nation. So here important is 51 to 78, 52 to 78, part 5. And Union Executive consists of President, Vice President, Council Minister, Prime Minister, Attorney General. Okay, the President is the head of the state, first citizen of India, and acts as a symbol of unity, integrity, solidarity of the nation. Election of the President. The President elected not directly by the people, but also member of the Electoral College. Okay, he elected the elected members of both the House of the Parliament. Okay, and the elected members of the Legislative Assembly of the states, the elected members of the Legislative Assemblies of the Union Territories of the Delhi and Pondicherry. The nominated members of both the House of the Parliament. The nominated members of the State Legislative Assembly. Okay, the members both elected and nominated of the State Legislative Council. In the case of the elected and nominated of the State Legislative Council, in case of the bicameral legislatures, and the nominated members of the Legislative Assembly of the Delhi and Pondicherry do not participate in the election of the President. So thus the nominated members of the House of Parliament and the nominated members of Legislative Assembly, State Legislative Assembly, the members both the elected and nominated of the State Legislative Council in case of the bicameral legislature, and the nominated members of the Legislative Assembly of Delhi and Pondicherry do not participate in the election of the President. Where an assembly is dissolved, the members cease to be qualified to vote in presidential election, even if fresh election to dissolve assembly and are not held before the presidential election. Even if fresh election to dissolve assembly and are not held before the presidential election. The Constitution provides that there shall be uniformity of the scale of representatives of the different states, as well as parity between the states as a whole of the Union at the election of the President. To achieve this, the numbers of the votes which each elected member of the Legislative Assembly of each state and the Parliament is entitled to cast at such election shall be determined in the following manner. So here the Constitution provides that there shall be a uniformity of the scale of the representation of different states, as well as parity between the states as a whole, and union at the next election of the President. To achieve this, the number of the votes which each elected member of the Legislative Assembly of each state of the Parliament is entitled to cast at such election shall be determined in the following manner. Every elected member of the Legislative Assembly of a state shall have as many votes as their multiple of 1,000th of the quotient obtained, dividing the population of the states by the total number of elected members of the Assembly. Here you can see this can be expressed as value of the vote of the MLA equals to total number of total population of the states, okay, and by total number of elected members of the State Legislative Council, not assembly, into 1 by 1,000. Every elected members of the either house of the we understand now. Every elected member of either house or Parliament shall have such a number of votes as may be obtained by dividing the total number of votes assigned to members of the Legislative Assembly of the states by the total number of elected members of both House of Parliament. This can be expressed as, so if every elected member of the either House of Parliament shall have such number of votes may be obtained by dividing the total number of votes assigned legislative assembly of the state, the total number of elected members of the members of both the House of Parliament. This can be expressed as value of vote of an MP equals to total value of votes of all MLA of all states, of all MLA of all states. Okay, the total number of elected members of the Parliament. The president's election is held in accordance with the system of proportional representation. It is very, very important. Proportional representation by means of single transparent vote and the voting of selectors secret ballot. This system ensures that the successful candidate is returned to the absolute majority of the votes. A candidate in either to be declared elected or declared elected to the office of the president must secure fixed quota of votes. A quota of votes is determined by dividing the total number of valid votes pooled by the number of candidates to be elected. Here only one candidate is to be elected as the president, plus one of the adding one is the quotient. The formula electoral quota equals total number of valid votes pooled by 1 plus 1, 2 plus 1. Okay, each number electoral quota each number of the electoral college is given only one ballot paper. The voter, while casting his vote, is required to indicate his preferences by making 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. against the names of the candidate. That means that the voter can indicate many preferences of the candidates in the fray. In the first phase, the first preference votes are counted. In case of a candidate secures the required quota in this phase, he is declared elected. Otherwise, the process of transfer of votes is set in a motion. The ballots of the candidate securing the least number of first preference vote are cancelled, and his second preference of vote are transferred to the first preference votes of other candidates. So the number of the first preference votes are cancelled, and his second preference votes are transferred to the first preference votes of other candidates. This process continues till a candidate secures the required quota. All doubts and disputes in connection with the election of the president are incurred into decision of Supreme Court, whose decision is final. Okay, the election of a person as president cannot be challenged on the ground of the electoral college. Incomplete, that is existing vacancy among the members of the electoral college. If the election of a person as president is declared void by the Supreme Court, the act done by him before the date of such is declaration by the Supreme Court that are not invalidated and continue to remain in force. Okay, so here you can understood all the things. So first of all, each member of the electoral college is given only one ballot paper at the hand, while the casting vote is required. Casting his vote is required to indicate his preferences by making 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. against the means of candidate. So it means voter can indicate at many preference as their candidates is to the fray. In the first phase, the first preference of votes are counted. In case the candidate secures quota in this phase, he is declared elected. Okay. Otherwise, the process of transfer of votes set in motion. Ballot of the candidate securing at least a number of the page first preference votes are cancelled and his second preference vote transferred to the first preference votes of the other candidate. So all doubts of the disputes in connection with the election of the president are incurred and decided by the Supreme Court, who decision is final. The election of the president cannot be challenged. Election of a person as president cannot be challenged on the ground that the electoral college was incomplete. That is the existence in any vacancy among the members of the electoral college. If the election of a person as president is declared void by the Supreme Court, acts done by him before the date of the such declaration of the Supreme Court, and is not invalidated or continue to remain in force. Some members of the Constituent Assembly criticized the system of the indirect election of the president for the president and has undemocratic and proposed idea of the direct election. How the constitution makers choose the indirect election due to the following reasons. The indirect election of the president is in harmony with the parliamentary system of the government and vices the constitution. Under the system, the president is only nominal executive real power are vested with the council of ministry headed by the prime minister. It would have been anomalous to have the president elected directly by the people, so I not give him any real power. Okay, it's important. The direct election of the president would have been very costly, and time and energy consuming due to first size of electorate. This is unwarranted, keeping in view that it is only a symbolic head. Some members of the Constituent Assembly suggested that the president should be elected as member of two houses of parliament alone. The makers of the Constitution did not refer the parliament nominated by the political party. One political party would be invariably choosing a candidate from that party. Such president could not present. So here important things would have invariably chosen a candidate from the party, and such president could not represent the states of the Indian Union. The present state system makes the president representative of the union and the state as equally. Further, it was pointed out that out in the Constituent Assembly that the expression proportional representatives in the means of in the case of the presidential election is misnomer. Okay. Proportional representation takes place where two or more seats are to be filled. In case of the president, the vacancy is only one. Okay, in case of the president, vacancy is only one. It could be better be called a preferential or alternative vote system. Similarly, the expression single transferable vote was also objected on the ground that no voter has a single vote. Every voter has plural votes. Qualification also of oaths and conditions. Qualification for election as president. A person to be eligible for election as president should fulfill the following qualification. He should be a citizen of India. He should have completed 35 years of age. He should be qualified. It is important 35 of age, and he should be qualified for election as a member of the Lok Sabha. He should hold any office. He should not hold any office of profit. Okay, under the Indian government or any state government or any local authorities. To any other public authority, the sitting president, the vice president of the union, the government of any state, and minister of the union or any state is not deemed to hold any office of profit and hence qualified by the presidential candidate. So here election year and here candidates names and their here number of votes secured. Winning candidates. Okay, 1952 Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Okay, and K.T. Shah opposite. And second is 1952 to 1957 Rajendra Prasad again 99.35, and then thus against. And come to next is Zakir Hussain, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, and then Dr. Zakir Hussain. After last is our program record now. Also new you can give comment. Come to see here. We have UP's candidate. Okay, Kavind, and now here is further the nomination of the candidate for for election to the office of the president must submit at least 50 electorates as prospers. 50 liters of secondary every candidate has to make security deposit to reach 15,000 to the RBI, Reserve Bank of India. The security deposit is liable to the forfeited in case of the candidate failed to secure 1/6 of the 1/6 of the votes polled before 1997. The number of proposers and secondaries was 10 each, and the amount of security deposit 2,500. Okay, in 1997 they were increased to discourage the non-serious candidates. So next we discuss author affirmation and other things. Okay, I discuss now. Okay, before entering upon the office, the president has to make and subscribe to an author of affirmation to faithfully execute the office, to preserve, protect the constitution, and defend the constitution and the law, to devote himself to the service and well-being of the VFLs of India. To the oath of office to the president is administered by the Chief Justice of India. The senior most judge of the Supreme Court is available. Any other person will be acting as president or discharging the functions of the president also undertake the similar oath of affirmation. Conditions of the president's office. The conditions lays down the following conditions of the president. He should not be a member of the House of Parliament or House of the State Legislature. If any such person is elected as the president, he is deemed to have vacant of the stay of his seat in that house on the date on which he enters upon office of the president. He should not hold any office of profit. Okay, it is important. Without he is entitled without payment of rent to the use of official residue. The Rashtrapati Bhavan. He is entitled to such emolument, allowance, and privilege as may be determined by the president. His emoluments, allowance cannot be diminished during the term of the office. In 2005, in 2008, the Parliament increased the salary of the president from 50,000 to 1.50 lakhs per month, 50% of the pension, and the pension of the 50% of his salary per month. In addition, the former presidents are entitled the furnished residence bond, facilities, car, medicine, medical treatment, travel facility, secretarial staff, office of the 60,000 per annum. Office expenses of 60,000 per annum. The spouse of a declared president is also entitled to the family and the 50% pension of the retired president, furnished residence, phone facility, car, all are things actually, and expense up to 12,000 per annum. The president is entitled to a number of the privileges and immunities. He enjoys personal immunity from legal liability. His official life during his term of office is immune from the criminal proceedings. Even in respect of his personal acts, he cannot be arrested or imprisoned. However, after giving 2 months notice, civil proceedings against him can be instituted against during his term of office in respect to the personal acts. Next we discuss term impeachment and vacancy. So next time we discuss it. Okay, so thank you friends. I think it will help you all.